looking back at our own careers, and we'd always said we're operators investing in operators, but that's not very specific nowadays. And so when we really looked at the detail of who we were investing in, it was first builders. And so we decided to coin that term. We wrote a little article about it. We launched the podcast, and it ended up really taking off. And we've just been really thankful for all the guests that have been willing to come on. We've really had some heavy hitters on here, which has been awesome. So yeah, I think we were able to interview like the CEO of Hinge Health only 2 weeks after their IPO, when I would assume anybody would be, just recovering from the IPO roadshow. And then we also had Jack Greco, who's taken his company through a multi-billion-dollar IPO as an early founder on the team. And just so many others, like folks that had their companies acquired by a company like Chime, and then later stayed at the company for 7 years and went through an IPO, and then early stage founders that we think are on the same track, but they all kind of have that first builder DNA, which is super cool to see.
Yeah, and we're just continuing to add to that first builder ecosystem too. So we also run an angel community called the Council Angels, and we're just continuing to add like more and more first builders just in that ecosystem, where we now have over 200 members.
Yeah, it's incredible to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then in the portfolio too, as a venture firm, it sometimes feels like we are first builders now building this venture firm, because it's very much a startup. I mean, from the outside looking in, you might not realize, but we're a tiny team, and we have big goals. We want to be the top 1% at what we do. And this is the year where our results really started to show, because I think venture is tricky, because it's not like you can set a quarterly KPI and then hit that KPI within the same quarter. You're really looking to hit like a metric called DPI, which is distributions to paid in capital, which is really like cash on cash returns to your LPs. And you really don't know for many years how you're doing in terms of achieving DPI for your LPs. And you have all these leading indicators you can look at. And this was the year that a lot of those started to really come to life in the same way that they did in my angel portfolio before. But it was just kind of validating, because you set out to do this. I wouldn't have launched the Council Capital if I didn't think that I could be a top performer. But then you go through this period of time where you're like, I hope what I thought was right. And then now we've just seen so many wins in our portfolio, especially this past year, when there were periods of time, even last year and this year, where it was tough to raise capital. And we still saw so many founders in our portfolio raising follow-on rounds. And I think, so this year we've had, Triley and Arvist raised their seed rounds. We invested at pre-seed. Dirac announced a follow-on funding from Founders Fund and Cotu, and they have a new partnership with Siemens, and a ton of things going on the enterprise side. We had GCAI and Flex both announced $60 million Series Bs. And these are all in just one fund, and then several others that haven't announced their rounds yet. So it's been really just cool to see that. And I was actually I grabbed coffee with somebody, one of our portfolio founders, over the weekend, and she was just asking like how I felt in this moment. And if anything, it just feels like validating, because you set out to do these things, and just like founders, we have to do a sales process with LPs to invest in our fund, and we often get asked so many different questions about our portfolio construction, how we're sourcing deals, how we manage our partnership, etc. It's just a different list of the same questions that you would get as a startup founder. And it's easy to get in your head and be like, well, I'm just a number, because all these people are evaluating me along all these other things. And then it was nice to see some things coming to life in terms of our kind of numerical performance, and actually be able to attach numbers to it this year, and see that, hey, like I wasn't crazy to go out and launch that fund. So